Welcome to Make Shit Happen show. Guys, 2021 is right here. We are in 2021. And for this show, I have a little something special. Basically go through everything we did from November, from the first show in 2019, all the way till the end of 2020, and bring out some highlights and provide you some highlights of what we did in the past 13 months. I created this show because I wanted to do this as a service to people who are inspiring or aspiring to be entrepreneurs, who need inspiration, who need some kind of motivation. And I also did it for selfish reason because I wanted to bring in bright minds and learn from them. And I honestly brought so many bright minds, and I interviewed so many good people, so many motivating people that motivated me, taught me a lot. And I want to thank all my guests for coming in on the show, taking the time out of their busy schedule. And I want to thank all of you who tuned in this show, who listened to the show, because we know life is busy. And, to dedicate an hour and listen to me or to my guest, it needs dedication. So I appreciate all of you. If you have shared the Make Shit Happen podcast to anyone, to your brother, to your cousin, to your uncle, to anyone in your circle, I appreciate that. Guys, I want to start this show by leading into the first show that I did with Charles Adams. So without further ado, let's jump into the show with Charles Adams and listen to what he got to say.
Everybody's a genius in a different way, right? Mm-hmm. So identify what you're a genius at. Because I think we look at other people and say they're a genius, and we don't realize that they are just often not even as smart as you are, but they found ways to make things work, right? So find what you enjoy doing and find what you're good at and focus all your energy on that so you can achieve something, right? I think we should all be nicer to each other. Period. We just need to be nicer, and we should all be a little bit less judgmental and covet. There's plenty of lawyers that make a whole lot more money than me. Whether they want to do it ethically or unethically, I don't care. I'm not in a competition with anybody. I think you need to find happiness within yourself, work hard to achieve your own goals, and just be nice to the people around you that deserve nice. Because there are some people that don't deserve nice, and you should be equally unnice to those bastards. But
that's one thing that I always say: be kind and be humble. Because to me, I always think about it's not how much money you have, how much wealth have you acquired, or what experience have you had, what kind of car you drive, and where do you live at. It's about who you are.
I know.
Bro, fucking smile. It's not going to cost you not a penny. Yeah. Shake the fucking hand.
I know. And it makes a huge difference. I mean, everybody around you, they see it. You'd be surprised who watches you. Yeah. So it could be like in your warehouse, you just doing one thing nice, your whole warehouse gets infected with it. And they say, man, my boss he's the shit. Yeah. So why am I being a dick to everybody when my boss, as busy as he is and as much as he's got going on, he can, stand down and offer me a bottle of water.
It's just be nice to the world. And I loved it that you said, be nice to everybody around you. Cause that's one of my mantras. Give me one mantra that you live by.
Never give up.
Never give up.
Never give up.
Love it.
And there's a lot of this out there, and not on. You should quit your job, and you should start your business, and you should. You know what? That's not right for everybody. Maybe for some overall, but there's a lot to be said for getting up every day, and going to work, and doing a very good job, and earning a living, and finding passion and purpose and productivity in what you do. Not everybody is also cut out for getting up and walking out of your door right now and go play and starting their own business and doing all that too. And I don't think there should be any shame at all or any regret in doing good work for really good people and showing up, getting up, getting dressed and showing up every day. And you, by the way, you know how much fucking pressure's on you? And who wants it?
Yeah.
How many people really want it? And are willing to do what it takes.
That is the exact message on it. It's like, God will continuously put people in front of you to help, and then it's only going to help yourself. And not that I go around doing it because I'm like, oh, he's going to bless me more, but it's just so true.
But it will bless you more.
The doors that open for me, sometimes I'm just like, that's crazy, and I'm like, why me? And then I think, well, maybe because I just did that for that person or that, like, and it's a true thing. Like when people, when you do for others, like it definitely not only makes you feel better, but it also, God's going to bless you,
Definitely. What is the foundation called?
It's called the Hatching for Health Foundation.
Okay.
And it's, obviously tied to the Hatching for Health show with me, your host, Jessica Hatch. And so just to kind of like give you the background on that name. So if you think about hatching, you think of an egg like hatching, and that's why this show is for children. So It's like hatching into better health, right?
How do you deal with people that act like they're your friend, but secretly they have resentment, or they're plotting against you, or they're just learning from you by being your friend, being around you, but secretly they resent you?
You can't change that. You can't change people.
But how do you operate? Like, how do you deal with that?
You be you. That's it. You be you, because at the end of the day, Sam is only going to be accountable for Sam and maybe his family and his, people in his close circle. But honestly, like, if someone takes something away from me, that's great, because I just gave them a part of me.
Yeah.
Okay, so
You influence them.
I influence them. I don't care about what these other person does. I mean, what they do is, I believe in karma, and I believe in like full cycle. I believe like if they do you wrong, then somehow it'll come back to you. You need to forgive them and move on.
We don't want women to feel like when they say just a stay-at-home mom, like they can't be anything but stay-at-home mom. Like we want them to realize that you can do multiple things. You can be stay-at-home mom. You can be the podcaster. You can, run a corporation. You can do all of these things. You don't have to pick and choose. You really can do everything. And although you might, have to balance it out.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
not like you're limited at any point. And we're trying to show, not just women, but our own children that you really can do anything that you want to do, and don't limit yourself just because you have this idea of what your role is supposed to be in life. I mean, I've reinvented myself so many times. I've, been a real estate broker. I've run companies. I've done network marketing. I've done the stay-at-home mom. Yes. And, there's no reason that just because that's what I did at that moment, that's what I'm going to have to do forever.
If there was one thing that I would have to say is the reason why I'm where I'm at today, it is because I've lived my life by the golden rule. I truly have. And probably a bigger degree than what most people think of the golden rule as being, do unto others as you would have, them do unto you. You will treat another person the way you want to be treated almost all the time. But it's really more about how you think toward a person, how you believe toward a person. And especially even people you may not like. I wish the best upon everyone because I want to wish the best upon myself. And I think that that is really the key to success at the end of the day, because all of us are the makers of our own destiny, and it is through our thoughts and our actions by which we will do our making. And our mind is so powerful. And if you direct it in the wrong way, you're going to yield the wrong results. I can guarantee you that, because this world, we only get one shot at it, and you want to make the most of it.
This was a great clip with Russell Ibarra. He's talking about the golden rule. Treat others how you want to be treated. I want to talk about my next guest, Warren Broadnex, and he was talking about the life lessons he learned, how the entrepreneurs are the last one to get paid, and how we cannot only worry about the W's, but the L's, the losses, where we learn the failures, where we learn the most out of them. Let's listen to Warren Broadnex on this next clip. When they see it, they say, you know what, man, oh my God, this store is making so much money. I got to do something like that. And they see the W's only. They don't see the L's. Tell me something about the L's.
You got to understand when you're in any business, you're the last to get paid. Sometimes you don't. The customers get paid before you. Uncle Sam gets paid before you. Sometimes you don't. We've opened up locations in smaller cities and closed locations in smaller cities. We've brought on the wrong type of people that's stolen, that's tried to mimic the brand, that's tried to mimic the business model. We've had employees that came in and kind of stolen from us and learned from those lessons. I think as in life, an entrepreneur in life general, you just got to get used to the L's. You got to embrace them, and you got to own up to them. You got to find a way to find some fault in it on yourself and have that humility that way. And then you have to take the accountability to change that behavior. And every L is different, and you're going to in there, and it's impossible not to lose.
Yeah.
Impossible.
align your passion with purpose. Don't do things for money. You've got to do it for purpose, okay? Everybody goes into business because they think about, oh, make this, I'm going to make this much. Yes, all of those are great. Money is a complementary to what I do. What makes me successful is that I turn my passion, I aligned it with my purpose, and I turned it into a business. So just that would be my number one rule.
All right. Align your passion with purpose. Number 2.
Yeah. Number 2, wake up every single day and give it your all. Like, you cannot be discouraged. You cannot take what happened yesterday into today. You got to wake up. It's a whole new day. And then the third thing would be to say no. Say no to whatever doesn't align with your passion and your purpose. I find myself saying no a lot more times than I say yes, because
it's okay to say no.
Yeah, it's okay to say no. I have to continuously say no all the time. Only do things that I want to do.
It was always really important to me to be able to have time with my family while still not worrying. Like, I don't want to have to worry about how my bills are going to get paid. I'm also somebody that will learn to live within whatever means I have. So if I don't make that much, I won't, like, I'm not one of those people that likes to put things on my credit card. I don't ever have a balance. But I work for financial independence.
So, you said
Freedom.
you don't like to put things on your credit card. And that's a very important message that I would like to talk a little bit about, especially people who are, because, in this world, we live in social media age, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, people like to portray that success. And I've talked to people and they have said, well, if I don't show this and if I don't buy this and if I don't do that, then people will not take me serious and they won't think I'm successful. What is your opinion about that?
Take the word can't out your vocabulary. If you say that you can't do something, then you won't. You got to speak things into existence. If you truly believe in something or believe in yourself, you can do any damn thing you want to. Like, that's a beautiful thing about the way things work. I mean, if you put your mind to whatever it may be, you can accomplish a multitude of things. And so take can't out your vocabulary. If there's something that you're having trouble with, find somebody that doesn't have trouble with what you're having trouble with. Learn from them, gain knowledge from them. A lot of people want to teach you. There's a lot of people in this world that naturally take to people that are willing to work and willing to put in that grind. And if you have the word can't in your vocabulary, you will not ever be successful in what you want to do. You got to eliminate that from your vocabulary and just figure out ways to make it happen.
Guys, this was a great message from Wade Smith. Wade Smith just motivated me in so many ways when he says we have to practice to eliminate the words can't from our vocabulary. So true on all the levels. I can needs to be in your vocabulary and I can't need to be out of there. Guys, in the next clip, I have Swapnil Agarwal, the guy who took 200,000 to 2 billion and now almost 3 billion. Guys, and he said, don't be afraid to take risk. Let's listen to this episode number 16 clip with Swapnil Agarwal. What kind of message will you have for aspiring entrepreneurs who want to start something? It can be anything, right? It can be opening up an ice cream shop or opening up a liquor store or raising capital.
Don't be afraid to take risk, right? I think 99.9% of the population in the world all work for somebody else and only less than 1% are entrepreneurs. Why is that? Because we are not afraid to take risk, right? 99.9% of the people, they want that paycheck security, right? They're looking, I want that paycheck every 2 weeks. And what happens if I don't get the paycheck? They're always thinking of the downside risk. But they should think about, it's okay, you're smart enough, you're educated. Don't be afraid to start something you're passionate about. And a lot of people get stuck in this mindset of, okay, my idea has to be like a genius idea that nobody has done. Don't think about it, right? You own a furniture store. There's plenty of people doing it, but how can you do it better, right? People own apartment complexes much before me. I mean, they've been around for 100 plus years, but how can I do it better? What's my value add? How can Apple iPhone wasn't the first smartphone. There were Blackberries, there were Palm Pilots, right? So how can you do something that already exists better? Don't look for the home run ideas nobody has ever done because they don't exist, right? So that's my advice. Don't be afraid to take risk, go all in, and most likely you will come out ahead.
Pride sucks. When you have pride, it destroys. Pride can kill families. Pride can destroy identities. And unfortunately, a lot of the times, admitting that we're prideful can set us back years and years and years. And so learning to be humble, learning to really, really be humble and never take anything for granted, no matter how hard you want to say you built something or these hands built this, those words can always be rooted in some type of pride. And I feel like whenever we're humble and we can give credit where credit is due, for me, it's always God. It always is, because whether or not we choose to acknowledge him, something other than ourselves is in control. And whatever you believe, that can be taken away in an instant.
Pride sucks.
Pride sucks.
Yeah, and learn to be humble. So
learn to be humble.
So ego is a big barrier. I mean, it can destroy a lot of stuff.
Money's not important. It only seems to be important because it's what gets marketed a lot right out there. Life experience is important. And so if I was to tell my son anything, it's that the money is a byproduct of success. And for most people, that's their most important view of the world. But if the world economy ended tomorrow, money would be useless. The only thing that would be useful is the experience that you've gained of living your life and being useful to one another, right? If the world ended tomorrow, I still know what I know, right? And that no one can take that away from me. The money, though, becomes useless at that point. And having a fancy car doesn't really matter, right? So for me, the money comes with success, but it shouldn't be your first focus. In fact, it should probably be number 7 or 8 on the list. You got to live, but the experience of living life and picking up those things are more important.
So I think it's very natural for us to worry about things because that just comes to our survival. We always want to make sure we prepare for the worst, but we need to talk to our brain because, believe it or not all our thoughts are true. We talk ourselves into all kinds of things that are not true. So first you need to remember that you have to talk to your brain and prove it wrong. So I will recommend making another list of really writing down all of your achievements in all your life up to today. Getting driver license, getting through elementary school, anything, anything that you think that's an achievement. And no, there is no small thing. Because for you, some victory can look, it was easy. I just got into college because I had good grades. But there are people don't get into college. So you need to make a list of all of your victories, big and small. And then when you feel like you're not going to get through this, you need to read that list. You need to say, you know what? If I went through this and I achieved this and this and this, I can achieve more and I can get through this. And like I mentioned before, remember the times that were very hard for you and remember the times that you went through them and you survived, because if you are listening to this podcast, you did it.
For people who say, hey, I want to start my own business, you can be young, you can be old. Somebody, what advice will you give somebody like that?
Be determined and don't give up.
Be determined.
I actually have a tattoo that I got just a few years ago as an adult, not as a child on a drunken college night. But it says I refuse to sink. And it actually was because a few years ago, it was tough. And I was so tired. Specifically, and anyone close to me or anyone that followed me on social media back then on my private Facebook page knows that I was so sick and tired of legal recruiting, I couldn't see straight. I was exhausted by it. And I had told everyone I was quitting. I had told everyone that I was going to go and do any type of recruiting other than legal. I would go work for anyone else other than continue to work on my own doing legal. And thankfully, I had some really strong, knowledgeable people around me that encouraged me to stay with it, keep my head in the game, and watch what would happen and just make some adjustments. And I did. Be willing to listen to people. Be willing to take advice and say yes instead of always saying no. I'm not going to do this or I'm not going to do that. And you'll be really surprised at the outcome. Sometimes things won't work out, but you don't know if you don't try and you don't listen.
What is your definition of humility and how important it is?
It's important for humility so you don't get robbed.
So you don't get robbed?
Yes. You know what I'm saying? You need to be humble. You need to stay in your place. A lot of times people don't show it, don't have it. and things happen to them. You know, whether it's you getting robbed of your opportunity, you know, or you getting robbed from your position, or being robbed for real. You know what I'm saying?
Or opportunity, because they don't want to talk to you because you some cocky,
that type of person, yeah.
cocky
And
SOB.
And so, but all my life, I've been that. You know, I've shown that. I've given that to the world. And when you do that, you don't get the influence that you deserve. You know, you just be the regular person in the back, which is what I wanted and what I created. But you also don't want to be the regular person in the back, watching everybody else with the influence lead your people in the wrong direction. And so you have to kind of find that happy ground, that medium of like, do you want to shut up and let them lead the way? Or do you want to be like, hey man, they don't know what the fuck they talking about, go this way. You know?
When I was really in the trenches of my struggles, every single day I had a poster in my room with a Tupac quote, and it said, through every dark night, there is a brighter day after that. So no matter how hard it gets, stick your head up, put your chest out, and handle it. And every day driving to school, you know, I was like getting ready for battle. I felt like, you know, I had to toughen up and just prepare myself for, if I can get through, you know, just this 2 hours and just, you know, focus, if I can do that, then I've won. Like I literally would like have a, you know, like a celebratory moment. I was like, if I can get through these 7 classes, then I've won. And I've, you know, like I won over the anxious thoughts. And so I would repeat to myself that quote all day long.
Wow, Megan was so right. And she quoted the great Tupac Shakur. And how she said that no matter how hard life gets, stick your chest out, hold your head high, and handle it. That was episode number 47 with Megan Gallagher. Listen, the next episode, the next clip I'm about to play is with Julio Garcia. Man, Julio is a true American dream. How this guy came from Mexico with no education, kind of wanted to go to school and made it. And you know, the greatest thing he said, opportunities will come. It doesn't matter. The breaks will happen for you in life. You just got to be ready for it. So let's listen to Julio Garcia, the message he said.
Take your time. Allow life to help you grow, develop your talents first. And I can say this with confidence, Sam. Big breaks, big opportunities in life will come to everybody. I don't care who you are or where you come from. Whether you come from a broken family or addiction, it doesn't matter who you are. Big breaks will come. The challenge is, would you be ready for it? Will you develop these years and months and sometimes decades developing yourself so when the opportunity comes you're ready for it? Or would you spend all this time blaming life and not taking advantage of opportunities, not investing in yourself, so when the opportunity comes you will see it come and go, and yeah, you will continue doing what you do, blaming that, well, maybe I wasn't ready, and so take your time, enjoy what you do, be kind to yourself. Opportunities will come.
What is your point of view of loving what you do?
Well, one of our core values is love what you do and it shows. And so we deal a lot with values and with behaviors. We set behavioral expectations. And there's not a hierarchy of one value is more important than the other, but we somehow always revert back to this value in our company of love what you do and it shows. And to me, look, we spend most of our time at work. We spend so much time. If we can't find things that we love about it, if we can't find a way to fall back in love with it, that's on us. And I think that that's so much a part of how we kind of connect that to positivity and connecting, creating those connections with your company and that energy. We talk a lot about energy, the energy of love and passion for your company. Your employees feel.
Time passes very quickly. I think, you know, in this show's name, I would say you got to make it happen, not watch it happen, and that's huge. You got to make it happen. And no one's going to do it for you. No one will do for you what you do for yourself. Ever. Not possible. And I think, you know what? And I think I missed out on this a lot, but I'm still relatively young. And I think the workouts have helped and the good diet has helped. I can still enjoy it. Enjoy life. Enjoy life. Don't think about it.
All right. Well,
You got to do it.
That's good. So don't think about it. Define your meaning of humility.
I think when someone sees me and says, wow, I didn't know that that's that guy that owns that house or that business, or that he hangs out with so-and-so people, just he's a regular guy. I think that to me is when I won the humility argument, and I feel as though that, because it's really important for me people to feel like when you can hang out with a janitor or a CEO and you treat them the same, that to me is that's how I test somebody. So I would want someone to test me that way. So I feel like that's a definition of humility.
And then I also believe in giving. When you give, if you can give to someone, because when you give, God's going to always bless you with something back.
You said that's very interesting that you said about giving. Tell me, let's expand on giving a little bit.
Okay, so like, for instance, Martez, I'll use that for an example. I didn't have to, invest in him, but I see, how much he wants this, and I see how much he wants it. And I feel like God put me in position enough that I can help him get to where he needs to be. Because if I help him, well, then I'm gonna get my blessings. I know a lot of people pass the bums up on the street, but hey, if you have it, just give it to them. You never know what's in store for you. You know what I mean? So always give. I'm always giving free advice. I'm always training for a lesser price. I'm always giving, because not that I really do it because I want to receive something, but I know that if I do give, nothing but goodness can come to me.
Or in your religion, I mean, they stress a lot about giving.
That, yes. But I've always been like that anyway, though.
Yeah.
Because I like to be a nice person.
And Islam stresses a lot about it.
It makes you at peace. Because you're so wanted to give that you don't have any anger, you don't have any aggression, because all you want to do is help. And when you want to help, guess what? People gonna want to help you back.
Authenticity is the biggest thing that I've learned in life, and that I use in business. I use it in my friendships. Is, we used to say back in the day when we were struggling, fake it till you make it. And it sounded cool back then, but now that I look back on it, I would have got a lot farther, a lot quicker if I would have just been authentic and genuine about who I was, where I was at in life. And you have to make yourself vulnerable to do that. But when you're authentic, you're going to get a lot further, a lot quicker than faking it till you make it, or trying to look bigger than you are or cooler than you are.
Wow, that was episode number 56. With my man, Jonathan Wiseman. And you know how he said at one time he was fake it till you make it, but he would have gotten so much farther if he was just being authentic and real to people about where he's at in life. Man, that is such a great message. The next clip I want to play is with Dusty Staubs in episode 58, one of my favorite episode, and how he talks about the power of loving other, but more importantly, self-love. Why self-love is so important. Episode number 58. Let's jump into Dusty Staub and see what he has to say.
Love is that capacity to put someone else's needs and interests ahead of your own, because if you care. When a baby is born, when I held all three of my children, when I look at them, I would give my life for them. For my wife, I'd give my life for her. So love is that capacity to really make others as important or more important than your own well-being at the moment. And it is self-love is the ability to really appreciate yourself, all your flaws, all your imperfections, who you are, and to be at peace with yourself, to know that you care about yourself, you love yourself, that you're going to be imperfect, that you're going to learn, you can improve. From that, you find the courage to step out, you find the courage to listen non-defensively, you find the courage to confront issues and challenges. So for me, and their self-love is really central. And you can't love anyone else truly until you know how to love yourself.
If you walk into a room and you see the most beautiful girl in the room, you think everybody's going to go up to her. Most likely nobody is, because people are afraid to. So a lot of times the prettiest girls in the room are the loneliest with the lowest self-esteem. And so when I was diagnosed with cancer, I was portraying to the world as a model and as a mother and as a wife that everything was perfect, that my life, it took me 30 minutes to put on makeup to make it look like I was coming out of my house without makeup. And once I was diagnosed with cancer and I lost my hair and I was 96 pounds and I mean, I was sickly. That's when I realized that that facade that I was putting out there didn't help anybody, especially myself, but it definitely didn't help the world. And so when I came out of it and my hair grew back and I started to model again, I just showed the world a different person because I had become a different person. I decided that I was going to be authentic and real. Not only did I change inside, but I changed my message to the world. And now I have a message versus before I'd put on a really pretty dress and be in front of the camera and we'd take pictures and I'd see it in a magazine or whatever. And I'd go, okay, that did nothing for anybody. Right. And so now I still model. And so I'll sit in front of a camera and I'll be talking to the camera crew and I'll be talking to whomever and I'll be being a light or I'll be, trying to inspire. And then I'll put the picture out and say, you know what the best part of this picture is that I got through chemotherapy and I'm now sitting in front of a camera and it's so great that I'm alive. And why is it so great? I can inspire, I can help other people. The message is different. It could be the same picture, but the message is different. And so my humility came by having a terrible disease. Hopefully that doesn't happen to anybody. When we're humbled and we're able to be vulnerable, that's when real change happens. The problem, I think, is people are so afraid to be vulnerable and honest because not many people are. And so the world is portraying this fake life and these fake pictures. And now we have all these apps that can make it look different. And everybody's looking around going, well, how come they're in St. Bart's? How can they afford this? Whatever. And it's not true. And so the humility, it can humble you, but what are you going to do with that humility? That's where the shift was for me.
Love so hard that, meaning everything, you just got to pursue love over the majority of the things that you're worried about. All this chaos, all this disruption, all these things, if you love your enemies, you genuinely say, I'm going to try to love this person. I'm going to try to love this. I'm going to even try to love, I use the term embrace the suck. It's something that's from the dudes that do that at one podcast, Leif Babin and Jocko Willink, they say embrace the suck. But if you love the sweat from working out, or if you love building a business like Sam does, find it and just love it. Love the pain that comes with it because the rewards are fun. So
That's
love
good.
really hard, man.
Love really hard. Love whatever you do.
Love everything. So
Yeah.
from everything,
The sweat that comes from working
Love
out.
your team, love your family, love your enemies, because if you're carrying around hate, that's a heavy burden. Love is pretty free.
I like to have fun. I like to enjoy, and I like to respect.
So that's gonna be your advice. brother?
That's it. Have fun, enjoy life, and respect each other. And I think that if you do things right, if you try to do good stuff, I don't know if that makes any sense. If you just be kind, it sounds trivial, but it's very, very basic. I like to, seriously, a lot of people who sees my Facebook is like, dude, how many hobbies do you have?
I know. I think about the same thing every time I look at your Facebook.
How many hobbies? I fly little planes. I'm learning how to play golf. I have my band. We like to travel. Just have hobbies. Do things that really. When you die, you don't want to be the richest person in the freaking grave, man.
Yeah.
Just enjoy life. And I truly believe that when you do things, good things, it's just gonna be bouncing back. You're playing, tennis against a wall. Just everything that you throw is gonna come back at you. So I don't like, bad energies. I love throwing good energies, helping people when I can. that's it, man. That's life. One day they think you don't know it's gonna be. I can be walking out of here, and God forbid something happens, and that's it. I'm done. So you don't know when they're gonna turn the light on you.
Or a need for you to be 85.
I want to be 90. I want to be 85, 90, dude. But if that happens tomorrow, I try to do everything I can, as much as I can, as
enjoy life
I
while
take
you
care-
have it.
That's it, man. That's what it
Life
is.
is a big gift.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. If there's somebody out there who's 23, 24, 25, or 30 or 35, and they're like, man, I have struggled to find direction. I know I want to start something on my own, but I can't, and I'm not doing it. I'm 34 and 35, and I feel like the window is closing on me. And even though the window never closes, right? There's some big businesses that were founded by people who did it at their late age. But they look at somebody like you and they're like, man, you know what? If this kid can do it, why can't I? What would you say to somebody like that? What is your word of advice, a piece of advice?
You just got to start. There's no excuses. It's 2020. You can look things up on Google and YouTube, which are free. You just need to map out a plan of what exactly you want to do. I would say that's the first thing you need to do is figure out how you want to make a living passively with, your own brand, your own business, and wrap it around something that you love to do. I love real estate. I also love martial arts, and I want to be involved in that too. But, if you wake up every morning and you go to a job that you don't love, then what's the point? I mean, sure, like there's a lot of, W-2 employees that I know that are having a great life, and that's good for them. But if people are saying, oh my God, like I have this window closing on me, first of all, they're your own expectations. It's you versus you. It's me versus me every day. It's not, you're out chasing someone else's tail. You're not chasing, Grant Cardone's tail, Gary Vee, because you can't live up to your own expectations. You can't be perfect. So you got to live one day at a time. And formulate that plan. So, and it's getting started now. There's no perfect time to start a business, just like there's no perfect time to start a family. It just happens. You just need to take that first leap, and it's going to happen. You'll figure it out along the way. I like to say, if what is his name? Larry Ellison, he's a great quote, and he says, say yes and figure out how to do it later. And that's so true, or that was Richard Branson. And Richard, that's a great quote that I live by is, you figure out how to do it later, say yes, dive in full clip. Yeah. And listen, for the first couple of years, man, I wasn't making any money. I was broke. I was so broke. And I'll say, hey, hand raised, that was me. So you will go through struggle, but that struggle is ultimately what you use to get to the next step. And it's, I try to not talk in generalities, but that's really how it is. You've got to look at, if you fail in this aspect, you take that and grow, and then you use it as a stepping stone. That's what I do, at least. Which again, it's not easy to do. You can't wake up and look at yourself in the mirror in the face and say, oh, this was a tough day. It's going to be better next day. Maybe it's not. Maybe you're going to go through a couple months of just straight hell. So it's really what you make out of it, man.
Hey, Howard, I want to interrupt you real quick over here, because I think you've said 2 or 3 times about this, the snowplow mentality, the command and rule. So, I mean, what I keep hearing from you is that you tell me the leader, the coach, their attitude means a lot in the business. Is that what am I getting that right?
Absolutely. And where does that attitude come? It comes from their belief system. So every single person here who has team members needs to check their belief systems of what do you really believe about other human beings.
And so basically what you're saying that if you are one of those people who believe the buck stops at me, or whatever I say happens, and you'll be left alone in your business doing everything by yourself. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yeah, it's only lonely. John Maxwell says it's only lonely at the top if you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. Because the fact is that you're hiring talent, you're hiring people to help you, not that you have to, drag along. But I believe, just to validate you and say, oh, yes, boss, yes, boss. No. Instead, and you don't need debaters either. You don't need people that are always arguing with you because they have their own agenda. So the fact is that if we go back to this foundational philosophy that Zig Ziglar shared, you can have everything you want in life if you will just help enough other people get what it is that they want. If you approach all of life by that philosophy, your leadership will be better, your marketing will be better, your sales will be better, your service will be better, and it'll show up in the numbers.
And budget's become a dirty word. It's like, oh, I'm so, or it's a word that people just ignore. So it's like, I didn't feel like I missed out on anything. You just have to, if what you love is those red bottom shoes, then you just have to realize how important that is to you. It's about prioritizing the things that matter to you the most. And that's the revelation I had. I realized I didn't care about fancy cars. What I cared about was experiences with my family. I don't mind spending $5,000 to go on a vacation with my family once a year so that we're creating these memories and we're creating these, lifelong treasures that we will always remember. But a car, that depreciates in value. It gets old, it breaks down. That wasn't what was important to me. So what I tell people to get to that mindset is don't think about what you're giving up. Think about what you're gaining. Think about what you love the most. If you love those red bottom shoes, that's fine. Add it into your budget. But you got to remember there's a trade-off, because every time you spend money in one place, you're taking away from something else. So in personal finance, we always say cover your 4 walls, which are food, utilities, shelter, and basic transportation. So you got that covered. You pay yourself first. Make sure you have an emergency fund, or at least you're putting something into it. And then you add in what you want. You add in an amount for those red bottom shoes that you can reasonably fit into your budget. Once all of your 4 walls and you've paid yourself first, once all that's done, that disposable income you were talking about, that's what you can use to buy those red bottom shoes, if that's what you love. But if that's what you love, then what is something that you can live without? Mm-hmm. Then let's cut that, because there's always a trade-off. But keep what you love, but you just have to realize that you're going to have to cut out something that you don't love, or that you can live without.
Exactly. Guys, that was so true what Deshana Woodard had to say about budgeting and prioritizing what's important to you. How she said, if you want them red bottom shoes, go get it, but it got to be important to you. So you know what? Budget is really not a dirty word. And in 2021, if you want to budget or if you want to prioritize, you must do it. The next one is Michael Conte. Loved that episode with that guy and how he talked about mindfulness, how he talked about your brain goes on autopilot and why you should not have your brain on autopilot. Let's listen to this. Tune in to what Michael Conte has to say. You just said something that probably a lot of people just think, where like at night they're about to go to sleep and they end up finding themselves going to their pantry and getting a whole bunch of Oreos and eating 10 or 12 of them. And, we do that, right? We become this mindless zombie because we don't know what we're doing, but except we just keep doing it. How do you get away from that, Michael?
So in my opinion, the brain only does what you tell it to do. Right. So after a while, your brain goes on autopilot. So that's why we could be in a car and all of a sudden we've driven for 30 minutes and we haven't even realized we're driving, right? Yes. We're on Houston roads, we're making left turns because in a lot of cases, you've driven that road so often, your brain already can literally predict what's gonna happen and then you kind of drift in your own head, right? Thinking about sports or what you're gonna eat that day. It's really about mindfulness. So a lot of it's brain focus. So an interesting thing is that when I say 5th grade, your brain automatically starts to think about you in the 5th grade, right? It starts to project this memory, like it goes back and tries to pull this thing.
Yeah.
So it's teaching your brain to shift attention. A lot of people watch TV and they're literally off. They're not thinking, they're just kind of receptive. And so I challenge people to find ways to stay mindful. So one of the simple things, and it's kind of it's easy in thought, but it's hard in practice, is mindful eating. You do not put anything into your mouth unless you're actively conscious while you're doing it. And I think that simple thought is, a lot of times, the reason why we eat 10 is we haven't really thought how many we've eaten. So we're just literally just doing this. It sounds interesting, but when you see the plate of food and you're mindful, you stay fuller because you know, wow, that's a big plate of food. I know I won't be hungry later. So I do a lot of helping people just stay in the moment. And it's even hard because of society. Just to have a conversation with someone to stay in the moment is difficult because, you know, they just get distracted by all these things that we have. So yeah, I'm a big fan of helping people focus. And once you can do focus, now you can make decisions and not stay on this kind of autopilot.
Where it always goes back to me is there's one specific quote in my life that I figured out resonates more than the thousands of things that I have read in my life. And you got quotes on the back of your damn wall, whether it's stay humble, be kind, all that kind of stuff. But it's what the late, great Maya Angelou said, and that is, people will forget what you did. They will forget what you said, but they won't forget how you made them feel. So for me, when you ask me that question, I go back to that because I am a byproduct of how that makes me feel when I do it. And I have those emotions and those feelings in the moment, after it happens. And again, it keeps giving to me because ultimately, as a Christian man, I go back when I say I want to make people smile. There's one fundamental word where it's what it's all about. You know what that is?
What is it?
Love. It's just the ability to love everyone. If you can find a place to love a stranger, then damn it, it's easy to smile and talk to anybody.
There's one thing, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like the biggest reason why all these kids are not succeeding in entrepreneurship is because they have big ego. Having a huge
ego and pride.
That is the first thing that I tell them all the time. If you have a big ego, you're not gonna make it here. You're not gonna make it in a while because you're gonna deal with people that knows way more than you. And instead of having a big ego, be ready to listen.
Humble yourself.
Be ready to listen to them because they will tell you things. I said, maybe you talk to them for 1 hour, but one sentence is going to change your life out of that 1 hour talk. And I'm always listening. I'm always ready to listen, man. Like I'm always ready to listen to other people, to learn from them.
Because humility is something I've been thinking a lot about lately in the last 2-3 years. When I think about impact, humility comes to mind. How? Why does it come to mind? Well, sometimes we're so focused on who is noticing what we're doing. Well, if I do this and they didn't notice, I didn't get the accolades, I didn't get I didn't get the high five, the pat on the back. And I've had to ask myself, and I'm saying this because these are thoughts that I'm being transparent here. These are thoughts that I've had in the past. And I had to ask myself, are you looking for applause or are you looking for impact? And I really had to sit with that. And when I decided that impact is more important than applause, I think that was a very humbling moment. I think that's where humility comes in, where the goal is always impact. No matter who sees, no matter who says, no matter who cheers, no matter, that. So
one of the parts of the subconscious mind is the fact that its main directive in life, prime directive in life, is to protect you from harm. And failure in your subconscious mind's brain is harm. And so if you were successful at a diet, mark one up for success. If you had failure, mark one up over here. Okay, you've had one success, one failure, it doesn't really know. But if all of a sudden I've had 4 12 failures, 0 successes, and you want to do another diet, it's going to look up there and say, I got 12 failures. I don't think this is a good idea. It's going to do everything in its power to make you not failing. It doesn't, it's kind of a double negative.
Yeah.
So it's going to actually push you away from what you want, which is to lose weight through a diet, and put you back into, because it doesn't want you failing at the diet. So it's a strange way of looking at failure is success in the sense that you're not going to fail because it's going to drive you right back into failure again.
Take time to really take care of each other, which I know would link to relationship building, and all of these ended up linking to people. But taking care of each other is more than just, I want to get to know you. Right now in the world that we're living in, there's so much hate and negativity, politics, rioting, like all of these things, I believe in my heart linked to, we don't take care of each other. And if we took better care of each other, and if you thought through the lens of how can I be better for this person, and how can I be better for this person? What does this person need? How can I help that person? And you sincerely meant it, we would have less negativity. We would have less hate in this world. We'd have less, I hate you because of how you vote, which is like the stupidest crap I've ever heard in my life. Like, I don't understand how you can live in a democracy and then hate because of my vote versus yours. Like, that's the beauty of it. So why don't you ask, man, I see what you need and I understand, right? Like, I understand, that's why you have that vote. I have a different need, democracy, right? Like, but if we took time to take care of each other, get to know each other, and take care of our own hearts, maybe we would be less bitter, maybe we would be less negative, and maybe we could all exist in a little bit of a more healthy, positive environment, which is hopefully the goal that I want to bring to the world in my speeches and with what I can offer.
Well, if you can't buy it 3 times, you shouldn't buy it.
If you can't buy it 3 times,
if you can't buy it 3 times, you shouldn't buy it.
So let's just put it this way. If I want to go buy a $15,000 watch, and that's all I got, $15,000, I shouldn't buy it.
Yeah,
if
you can't buy 3 of those watches and still live comfortably, you don't need one.
So that means that if I can buy 3 watches and don't have money for my rent, my food, and my 6 months worth of
or if you basically buying the watch with all the money that took you a while to save up that amount of money to buy a watch, and for $15,000 you're not going to get a watch that necessarily appreciates, right? You have to get into a higher level of watch buying, totally different brands, totally different, like Tourbillon. It's a whole other world if you're trying to make a watch investment. Well, $15,000 Rolex watch is not gonna appreciate over time.
Yeah. So don't
unless it's kept for like 30 years and then it becomes.
But if you want to buy anything, and I just said a watch, it can be anything. But if you can't buy 3 of them, don't buy them.
I wouldn't buy it.
All right, you heard that. Bun B was right. If you can't buy it 3 times, then you should not buy it. And that makes all kind of sense. I was criticized by a lot of people for posting that video. TikTok went crazy. I had over 48,000 views so far. And people are like saying all kind of things like, hey, that's not true. Should I not buy a house? Should I not buy a car? Yes, if you don't have the money to back it up, and if you don't have money for the winter season, because winter is coming. Rainy season is coming. Save enough money. If you can't buy it 3 times, don't buy it. My man Bun B was right. The Trill OG was right. If you can't buy it 3 times, don't buy it. I'm not telling you don't buy milk, don't buy groceries, but I'm telling you big expenses, you should not buy it. You should not go buy some Nike, some Jordans if you don't have enough money that you can buy them 3 times. Shouldn't buy a watch, fancy watch, if you can't do it. If you don't have the money, like some extra money in your bank account, don't buy a house. You have no reason to. What if you lose your job? Then the house goes on foreclosure. Guys, that was 100% right, but I appreciate all my guests. I appreciate all of you listening. I want to thank every one of you for taking the time and for listening to this. Listen, I depend on you. If you are listening to this podcast and you listen to it all the time, please rate us and review us if you're listening to it on Apple Podcasts. If you're on Spotify or anything else, please subscribe to this podcast. Tell your friends, tell your family, share this with your friends and family. We would really appreciate it. You are the only way we can grow our platform. Without you, we can't grow this platform. Now there's only one thing left to do, and that is go out there and make shit happen.